Hey curious friends, so after the death of George Floyd, about which we have a separate video and numerous protests and statements of politicals or media figures, there's still a huge hot atmosphere in the US and it calls for change. It turns out that not only Hollywood celebrities and stars take their voice in the matter, but also streaming platforms that withdraw productions which spread stereotypes towards black people. There was a big case about Gone with the Wind, which has been removed from the author of HBO Max. Is this removal not hypocrisy or censorship? Why did the 1939 movie make a lot of noise on the day of its premiere and arouses such huge emotions today? Stay with us to the very end to learn about the extraordinary story of this production that experienced a second childhood. But first, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe. A few days ago, information was spread on the media and the cult and epic drama Gone with the Wind, after numerous demands, was removed from the HBO Max library as a production containing inappropriate content and perpetrating stereotypes about black people. The platform's authorities said that Gone with the Wind is a product of its time and depicts some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that have unfortunately been commonplace in American society. These racist depictions were wrong then and they're wrong today, and we felt to keep this title up without an explanation and the denouncements of those depictions would be irresponsible, and it is said that HBO's Max position was to be influenced by the letter of the Los Angeles Times written by John Ridley, a screenwriter of the Oscar-winning 12 Years a Slave, who urged for the film to be taken down. So we believe that there's no need to remind anybody of the plot of this legendary movie, but what actually disturbs people in the production of this 1939 movie? Well, Gone with the Wind action takes place during and after the American Civil War, against the background of social change and the history of the fall of slavery, and it is shown the love of charismatic Scarlett and the rebellious Rhett, and so the movie is being attacked for misrepresenting the faith of African American community. Some modern viewers do not like the slave figures seem content with their fate and that they remain faithful to their former owners even after liberation. It is true that on an indefinite date, Gone with the Wind will return to the platform's offer, but only on the condition that it is accompanied by the commentary on its historical content. An HBO Max spokesperson told in an interview with Variety, "These depictions are certainly counter to Warner Media's values, so when we return the film to HBO Max, it will return with a discussion of its historical context and a denouncement of those very depictions, but will be presented as it was originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never existed, and if we are to create a more just, equitable, and inclusive future, we must first acknowledge and understand our history." Well, so what is the context? And why the movie adaptation of such a beloved and awarded novel turned out to be almost a cursed production? Let us tell you. Margaret Mitchell's novel was created in 1936. The author was brought up by her lawyer father and suffragette mother, who showed courage, insubordination, and fight with accepted norms from a very young age. So was her heroine, charismatic and pragmatic, able to find herself perfectly in the world of men, and even managed to use them according to her own will. But Mitchell was also a Southern woman. She was born in 1900 in Atlanta, hence racism and a shameful time in American history did not impress her. More so, she was outraged at the accusations that she could propagate stereotypes, saying that she did not know why people say so because black people are noble in her novel. In the book and later in the movie, Afro-American characters are depicted like small children, naive beings that the white lords must look after. Servants that surround Scarlett are positive characters because they're proud of their work, and the fact is that their owners care about them because they alone could not cope with anything. Mammy mothers to the heroine, and she's faithful and is often complains about the noisiness of people in her skin color. Pork is loyal, although not very resourceful, and Prissy is just a silly girl. The post-war period for Mitchell was a Yankee occupation, during which her Southern gentlemen were focused to defend the honor of ladies and estates and offices against the temptations incited black citizens who did not remember good times under their master's rules. Margaret Mitchell thought so, but based on her own experience, she created above all a melodramatic story of a clash of two strong and proud personalities, Scarlett and Rhett, in which love ultimately loses in a duel for dominance, and romanticism with cynicism. The author got a Pulitzer for the book, and David O. Selznick paid her the record of $50,000 for the film rights. The book sold out like hot cakes. 1 million copies were sold within a year, and it was believed that the film would repeat this success. However, its adaptation was not the easiest one. It started with problems with the script, which was written among others by Francis Scott Fitzgerald, but subsequent versions were rejected. And similarly with directing, the first George Cukor gave up 10 days and with a great quarrel with the producer. Then there was Victor Fleming, who was taken from the plan of Wizard of Oz, but he also suffered a nervous breakdown and after a quarrel with Vivien Leigh due to his health problems also abandoned the movie set. However, he made about 45% of the film, which is why he appears as a director, and while the work was actually completed by Sam Wood. What's more, the main pair of actors Vivien Leigh and Clark Gable from the beginning didn't get along. He agreed to play in the movie for money because he had to pay off his ex-wife, but he couldn't stand that he wasn't playing a macho, and she did not want to kiss Gable because he wore an artificial jaw and had bad breath. And in addition, Leigh missed Lawrence Oliver, with whom her romance was just developing. As if that wasn't enough, there were problems with censorship. The Hays Code banned swearing, and Rhett at the end of the movie says, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." So Selznick paid $5,000 and the word damn left, and the sentence is still on the list of most famous movie quotes ever. But there is more. The N-word, which today is taboo in the USA, was repeated many times, and in the novel and in the script. Hattie McDaniel, who played Mammy, pointed out to the producer that it should be removed, and he, only after consulting with his white colleagues, agreed with her. Well, we learn the context of the novel's creation, but as it turns out, the time when the movie was made was also not kind to the black cast, and the premiere of the production took place in December of 1939 in Atlanta, which attracted about 300,000 fans. The African American members of the cast did not attend the event of that year because racial segregation was in force in Georgia and they were not invited. Although Selznick wanted the actress who played Mammy to accompany her colleagues, MGM led him away from this decision, fearing riots. Hattie McDaniel only appeared at the premiere in Los Angeles. Gone with the Wind was nominated for 13 Oscars and won 8 statuettes, including the Best Film, Screenplay, Actress, and Director. Hattie McDaniel also received the nomination and statuette as the first African American in history, although at that time she was not even allowed to sit at the table with the rest of the cast during the ceremony. And at that time, the list of winners was not guarded as it is today, and it was already known from the newspapers who would win the statuette. Meanwhile, at the Ambassador Hotel, where the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Gala took place, segregation was in force and Hattie McDaniel was not allowed to enter it. Only after the decisive reaction of MGM, it was decided to make an exception for her, although the actress sat at the end of the room at a double table against the wall in the company of her agent and her partner. Still, it was a historical event. A touched Hattie said, "Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts, fellow members of the motion picture industry and honored guests, this is one of the happiest moments of my life, and I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards for your kindness. It has made me feel very, very humble, and I shall always hold it as a beacon for anything I'm able to do in the future. I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel, and may I say thank you and God bless you." But to McDaniel, nothing was easy. The white community believed that the character she played was a manipulation because the maid should never allow herself for such a free tone of expression and friendly relations with employers. African Americans, on the other hand, did not consider the actress to be a representative of her race or a person who did something useful for her community. And according to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, her numerous roles on the screen only confirmed false stereotypes. Because Hattie, despite playing alongside the biggest stars such as Marlene Dietrich, Humphrey Bogart, or Bette Davis, usually played the roles of servants, and she reportedly had as many as 74 in her filmography. She was even one before she started working in show business. McDaniel was born as one of 13 children of former slaves. From an early age, she made extra money as a maid, but wanting more from life, she first appeared in the street as an entertainment performer, and then she got into radio until she left Los Angeles, where she played episodes as a servant. Hattie took part in the casting to Gone with the Wind, persuaded by Clark Gable, with whom she was friends, and despite the fact that the First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt herself proposed to the producers to hire her personal maid, Hattie, however, appeared on rehearsal dressed in real uniform that she wore at work and got engagement immediately. And about the fact that she was instrumental in cinema history reminded many years later in 2010, Monique, who received an Oscar for her role in the movie Precious, mentioned, "The actress, I wanted to thank thank Miss Hattie McDaniel for enduring all that she had to so that I would not have to." And later in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the actress told about the criticism of McDaniel that she played only maids. "If people really understood the fights behind the scenes, the conversations we'll never have the opportunity to hear." And then you say to those people, well, tell me what other roles were available. Because what she was an actress, and at that time, she wasn't getting the roles that her white counterparts were getting. She was saying, "I'm an actress. When you say cut, I'm not a maid anymore." So I say to those people, know that women in full before you judge. Gone with the Wind, according to Box Office Mojo, remains to this day the highest grossing film of all time, even when adjusted for inflation. It also turns out that the confusion around the movie and its removal only affected its popularity. The movie got to the first place on Amazon lists of bestsellers, and the legendary production sold out in every format, on DVD and Blu-ray, and there's also a special double disc DVD which was published on the 70th anniversary of the premiere of the film. It can only be rented on the Amazon Video platform, and we must add that Gone with the Wind was also on the 5th place of the most watched Apple iTunes movie in the USA. But the case of Gone with the Wind is not sparse, and under the influence of sentiment prevailing after George Floyd's death, the comedy series Little Britain was permanently removed from the author of BritBox, BBC iPlayer, and Netflix, while the reality show Cops disappeared from Paramount Networks. And recently, voices have also been raised that Paw Patrol should be withdrawn because one of the dogs is a police officer, and the Lady Mayor is shown as a helpless person who in all actions requires the help of a white boy and his team of pets. And so, my curious sippers, what do you think about this topic? Do you think it's right that Gone with the Wind was removed? Do you agree with the demands of changes or removals of other productions such as Paw Patrol animation? Be sure to answer in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and show it to your friends so that they can also share their opinion. And remember to subscribe because we publish interesting movies for you every single day. Take care, guys.